This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. We have as our guest Roberto Santamaria, the health director of the town of Nantucket. Welcome, Roberto.
Thank you. Great to be
this
here.
visit is long overdue, but I know Geno took you around when you first got here, so
It's been great.
You enjoying yourself?
Absolutely. We love it here.
Yeah. Where'd you come from?
So I was working in Framingham before here. I was there for 2 years as the interim director, and before there I was in Everett for 2.5 years as the director there. So 6 years into the director's career now.
How is Nantucket different from those mainland communities?
So all three have their own little quirks and balances here. Everett is, some of you may know, is a suburb of Boston on the northern side. They're dealing with a lot of ground contamination from the old Monsanto plant and the Ford plant that was there, and GE. So most of my work there in Everett was very environmental oriented and hazardous waste contamination as well as housing issues. Very, very overcrowded city. It's only 3 square miles and it has almost 60,000 people. Framingham, on the other hand, one of the Metro West communities, their biggest issues were opioid substance abuse and just access to healthcare and healthy foods. So it was very community health oriented. Nantucket, on the other hand,
There's a little of everything.
has a little bit of everything. Exactly. It's so different in that there's a lot more engineering involved, which I love. I wasn't expecting so much of the septic system work, which has been amazing. And the water quality is something that I used to study a lot. My first degree was in molecular and microbiology. So all the shellfish stuff and the algae and the blooms and everything, it's going back to a lot of the roots from when I was in my laboratory days.
You work closely with Tara Riley and Natural...
I work closer with Jeff and Caitlin.
Caitlin, okay.
Yes. I work closely with Jeff and Caitlin, not as much with Tara. So, but it's been really great.
All right. Well, we got you here to talk about the article on the special town meeting warrant for the sewering of Matticat, and I think a lot of people don't realize it also covers a part of the Hummock Pond. I guess it's the Hummock Pond watershed,
Exactly.
as well. And I don't think too many people were aware of that. So let's talk about that first a little bit. What's going on over in the Maya Comet area?
So what's really interesting is this sewering article that's here is both the Somerset needs area and the Matticat needs area, Matticat Warren's Landing. That actually covers 3 of the watersheds. It fills in some of the gaps with the Nantucket Harbor watershed.
That's the Somerset part of it.
Which is the northeastern part of the Somerset, exactly. And then it also covers part of the Hummock Pond, which is also in the Somerset needs area. What people don't necessarily realize is that when every time you flush a toilet, every time you wash your laundry, every time you turn on a sink, all this water goes into your septic system. It separates out and the effluent goes out into your leach field. That leach field just drips the water straight into the ground. It eventually, the sand has natural properties that disinfect the effluent is what we call it.
Right.
And then it enters the groundwater. Well, these watershed areas that were set by a map by a consultants, the Horsley, Witten, and Hegeman group back in 1990, they were able to delineate where the groundwater flows. Some of it goes into Hummock Pond, some of it goes into the harbor, some of it goes into Long Pond, Matticat Ditch, and Hither Creek. So where these Somerset areas go are very important spots. Maya Comet has also been found as a needs area. It is further down the list right now, but it is something that we're looking into to see maybe if we can work in different ways. Hopefully technology will catch up within the time that the sewers are done in Shimo and Matticat, hopefully Matticat, so that we can address Maya Comet as it keeps going. Right now, Matticat, the reason Matticat is such a high priority is we have really high groundwater in Matticat, and with sea level rises, the groundwater is only getting worse.
So you mean getting higher?
Getting higher,
right?
Exactly. We've been finding some septic systems with groundwater separation as low as 2 feet, when the state Title V regulation is 5 feet, and our local regulation in a nitrogen sensitive area like Matticat is 6 feet. those would normally require a nitrogen reducing technology, the IA systems that you'll hear a lot about over the next few weeks. These IA systems reduce about 50% of the nutrients that enter the groundwater. Well, that's not enough, unfortunately. Some systems can go as high as 90% reduction.
What does a system like that cost for a 3-bedroom house on a normal lot?
On a normal lot, we've seen retrofits where you're able to put in just the tank next to it, and that's about $20,000 to $30,000, which is the normal cost of a septic system. But when you have to take out the leach field and mount it and put in a new, you can be looking up to $100,000 for even a 3-bedroom system, depending on your groundwater separation. So it's a very significant.
So just in that
burden.
context alone, sewering makes sense for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Assuming you have to address the issue at all, which we do. One of the criticisms that's been raised, one of the questions that's been raised about the sewering effort is that the data is all old. The data is all 10 or 12 years old. Is that true?
The data is not all 10 or 12 years old. There has been data, there is 12-year-old data because we looked at this 12 years ago, but we have data as late as 2014. The CWMP was updated in 2014 with modern data, with the work that we've already been doing, which includes the landfill mining and these IA systems. The other part about
does it show any improvement or not?
There's a little bit of improvement, yes, but it is leveling out and it's not doing the work that we need it to do. It is still above the threshold and it's leveled out. When people talk about this one moment where we had data where the Long Pond Sentinel Station was below the threshold, well, the very next year it was above the threshold again. 1 point is just a data point. 2 points is a trend. 3 points is finally a correlation. My master's in statistics. So it's one of those things, we need at least a correlation, a correlative effort, and a correlative group that shows us that this threshold is finally being met, which is 3 subsequent years. Only 1 year off will break the chain, and the state won't accept that.
And so that's been the case. Once it was below the threshold, then it came back.
And the very next year it came back up, and it's been up since then. And I believe that was 3 years ago.
Where are the measurements done in Long Pond and Matticat Harbor, and on the other side in Hummock Pond?
We have very, unfortunately I didn't bring the map with me, but there are a lot of stations. There's 2 in Long Pond, I believe. There's one right at the exit of Matticat Ditch, right at Hither Creek. Closer to the mouth of Hither Creek in Matticat, and then 2 in Matticat, 2 open stations in Matticat Harbor itself. And then we have, I believe, one or two checkpoints in Hummock Pond, and then we also have about 8 in the Great Harbor. And I honestly don't remember how many there are in Mayacomet.
That's all right. Mayacomet's not the issue right now. Did the ones out in the middle of Matticat Harbor show the same problem as the ones?
The ones in Matticat Harbor are actually showing a significant amount of flushing, which is what we want. Their station on the northern side of Matticat Harbor is actually showing, it's not meeting the threshold yet, the threshold we want it to meet, but it is showing good numbers. The issue here, as far as the Massachusetts Estuaries Report goes, is the Hither Creek area. That is totally eutrophic right now. And what is
eutrophic?
Eutrophic means, is that there's too much nitrogen, too much nutrients going into the harbor, so it stimulates algae and plant growth, weed growth, and it's choking out all the other type of life. So you'll see fish kills, you'll see eelgrass dying off, the scallops can't show up there.
There was I got a report about 2 weeks ago of a field, if you will, of dead scallops and dead crabs on the inside of Smith's Point by Mr. Rogers' house, former Mr. Rogers' house. Do you know anything about that? Are you familiar?
I didn't.
I did pass the report on to the Natural Resources Department, but
I didn't hear about that because that would be taken care of by Natural Resource. However, it does sound like the right location that we're trying to work on. That sounds almost exact.
Yeah, it's outside Hither Creek, but it's to the left, but around the corner.
Exactly, it's right where the flow would be.
Yeah.
So.